Why do I hate hipsters? This will be one of the questions I will answer in this segment. First, I need to explain what a hipster is, since there are many ways to describe this subculture. Another piece to exploring my dislike of this group will analyze their contribution to our society. A hipster usually refers to a subculture that considers themselves to be a counterculture to the corporate excesses of the early 21st century. Hipsters claim to be nonconformists, bohemians, and free spirits who are trying to break the mold by pursuing the simple pleasures of life in their own right. Well, how can hipsters be nonconformists if they mainly buy their clothes from American Apparel, Urban Outfitters, and marked-up thrift shops? Most of these hipsters ironically conform to trends by getting their fashion sense from established and corporate retailers like American Apparel, Urban Outfitters, and high-end thrift shops around their hipster neighborhoods. If these people were truly living like the working class they admire and claim to be living outside of the corporate world, they would have purchased their clothes from real thrift shops run by groups such as the Salvation Army and the Mormons, or get them from discount retailers like Walmart, Kmart, and Kohl's, because that's where real working class people shop for clothes. After all, real working class people buy their clothes out of necessity instead of relying on corporate retailers to tell them the correct way to look poor. Now here is another question. What kind of jobs do hipsters have that sustains their lifestyle? If your answer is nothing, you're probably right. Hipsters will claim to do real work by claiming to be freelance artists, actors, musicians, or students. The reality is that the older hipsters who claim to be students are lying their asses off while the rest don't have real jobs. If you see people working in cafes, clothing stores, or in an office, just be aware that these people are not hipsters. People you see on TV or film, performing in a busy schedule or getting their work exhibited outside of Williamsburg, are also not hipsters because they're actually self-employed. Hipsters are the ones who will shun real work because it's uncool, corporate, or hard. These hipsters can be seen performing around subways for some dollars, frequenting Williamsburg art exhibitions, parties around Brooklyn, playing kickball, or loitering in a Starbucks drinking fair trade coffee. In other words, living like college slackers without the classes, exams, or care of debt. If these hipsters don't work and simply loaf around, then how in the hell can they afford it? The common answer to this happens to be that most of these hipsters depend on their parents for money. Some of them may come from wealthy families who gave them trust funds to live like idiots, while the rest are really good at persuading their parents that they will eventually get their big break in music, film, or art, so long as they get money to keep going. As a result, some of these hipster neighborhoods have become gentrified ghettos as a result of the large injections of cash into the area, which led to new development and increased cost of living that hurt locals. All of these changes would not have happened if parents didn't give their slack children money to live carefree lives at the expense of themselves and others. Some people say hipsters are no different from the hippies in the 1960s, but I beg to differ. You see, unlike the hippies of the 60s, hipsters aren't really raging against anything or improving society. Hippies in the days of yore had a reputation for supporting progressive movements such as civil rights, ending the war in Vietnam, and became associated with liberals. Hipsters, on the other hand, don't really support anything unless American Apparel makes it cool. They don't vote, wearing Obama Hope t-shirts isn't voting, and appear indifferent to social issues, as seen by the fact hipsters shop at Urban Outfitters even though that company is against gay marriage. Ironically, hipsters are actually influenced by corporations and behave similarly to the point where they are considered non-conforming conformists because they don't stand for anything or make any meaningful impact on society. I hate hipsters because are phony, lazy, spoiled and apathetic groups of people who pursue a carefree, fruitless lifestyle at the expense of others while arrogantly claiming to be a new counterculture free from corporate influences. These people have done nothing to improve society while living off the backs of others despite giving lip service to social causes and claiming to be struggling artists. They need to stop pretending to be down with the poor, because their behavior is really insulting to real poor people, and they need to stop appropriating culture from other groups just for the sake of being hip. Give me a break and go back to school, work, and reality instead of slacking around while the world becomes poor and miserable.